What's up, beautiful people? Today we're going to be checking out a video of Erik Prince. He says he exposes that the CIA is trying to overthrow Putin in Russia. Now, if you don't know who Erik Prince is, I think he's the founder of, is it Blackwater? It's a military group. Somebody defined it as Blackwater is to USA what Wagner is to Russia. I feel like that's a very good definition there. Not in its entirety, but it does make a lot of sense. Erik Prince, I'm not really a fan of because of his comments. One of his comments, I haven't really seen a lot of his comments except that one, but he was speaking about the forced recolonization of Africa, and I thought he was out of place in that, that context. But this one, we're going to be hearing his views. He's always good to be open-minded to listen to people, so I want to hear what he has to say about Russia. That being said, let's get to it.
When you're watching what's going on today, okay, you watch Ukraine, let's specifically stick to Ukraine for now, and then we'll get into some of the other ones. You watch Ukraine, and hey, we're going to do a border, a bill. $118 billion. You guys are saying no to the border bill. 2 weeks later, no, it's a $95 billion bill. $60 billion is going to Ukraine, right?
Yeah.
And where that money is going to end up, you have no idea where that money is going to end up, right? And then Kamala Harris is going to say, we're going to keep spending money until ... How similar is Ukraine to what we did with Afghanistan?
Ukraine is we need to bring that war to a close because all Ukraine is doing now is destroying itself demographically. They're chewing up the next generation of manpower that they can't really replace right now. They don't have enough manpower. The Western defense base is pathetic. And you're not going to out-conventional war the Russian bear. And I would say a ugly peace is better than whatever their idea of an ideal war is.
Well, what is an ugly peace, though?
Meaning freeze the lines, straighten the lines, accept, let them have Crimea, let them keep Crimea, Donetsk, Luhansk, whatever. They need to... It is not certainly it's not the American taxpayer's obligation to spend another $100 billion in Ukraine when there has been significant corruption and really nothing to show for it.
But why do so many people support it, Erik? I mean, you're saying that. So somebody may say, it's easy for you to say, so should we just let a dictator do its part and kill all these innocent people that he's killing? Are you saying we leave it alone and we allow Putin to get what he wants? I mean, half the country voted for that, right?
The disgusting thing is all these people that say, support Ukraine, spin a globe in front of them. 99% of them couldn't even find Ukraine on the map. So don't tell me what their opinion is. Their opinion doesn't really matter because they're idiots.
You think they're idiots? And
I think a shocking amount of the people that have these strong social media opinions on Ukraine have no freaking idea where Ukraine is or what the realities are. And so I think
they just follow trend.
Social media is not a great influence on our body politic or on our society at all.
I don't know if I disagree with you, but the question is somebody is converting these people that you claim idiots, right? So the question then becomes, I read this quote by this lady who said it the other day. 1% of the population controls the world. It's a smaller percentage, but you get the idea. 4% of the population are their puppets. 90% of the population are zombies. 5% are trying to wake up the zombies. The 1% make sure that the 4% stops the 5% from waking up the 90%. I don't know if you caught that whole thing that we're going through. Okay.
I think so. I was trying to do the math.
Okay, so it's a lot of math going on here. For a guy that made a lot of money, I'm sure you're following through on the math here. But the point is this. Forget the 90% of zombies, okay? The 1% that are, advocating to the 5% of the 4% of their, not puppets. The prophets, but disciples. And they're going and selling everybody. These guys could be in mainstream media. These guys could be in business. These guys could be in Hollywood. Why are those guys, the people that are smart people, they're not dummies, why do they think this is a good idea to keep giving Ukraine money? Is there an incentive behind closed doors to them that we don't know about? Is that the only thing that drives them? Or do some of these guys actually think we're doing the right thing?
I think people are highly susceptible to propaganda.
But besides that too, I feel like the money doesn't necessarily go to Ukraine. I mean, I don't know for a fact, but I heard Sergei Lavrov, the foreign minister of Russia, he said that this money that is speculatively being sent to Ukraine, it's or remains in America, and that is used to build weapons in America's manufacturing companies, and in turn, that money enhances the American economy. And what America sends to Ukraine are the I'm just paraphrasing because I don't remember the words he used, but he said the weapons that are bad, the bad weapons, the rough ones, that's what they send to Ukraine, which Russia is going to destroy anyway. So the money doesn't necessarily go to Ukraine, but it stays back in America, which would mean this weapon manufacturing companies are the ones benefiting. My point is, if these weapon manufacturing companies are benefiting as it's been rumored, then maybe the 4% is a part of the weapon manufacturing, so they benefit as well. You know, they're not just puppets, but they get something out of it. I don't know if that makes sense.
Highly susceptible to propaganda.
Yeah, look, the Russians were wrong to invade Ukraine, absolutely. But I don't know that the West could have also handled the whole situation much differently, because there was all kinds of assurances made that NATO would not extend eastward after 1992. And from a Russian perspective, now they lost 22 million people in World War II, defeating the Nazis. And so for them, looking out and seeing more unfriendly countries on their border than any time since, May of 1940, that's a problem. That's a red line for them. And they kept saying, stop, stop, stop. This idea of making Ukraine a NATO member, bad idea. It shouldn't have been on the table beforehand. And I even offered the administration before the invasion, because I noticed that there was the Russians were even canceling orders, defense orders, at the end of 2020, at the end of 2021. And I wrote a paper, and I sent it up through a friend in JSOC without my name on it, so they can't use the I Hate Erik Prince card. And it basically laid out that at that point there was almost 500 aircraft set to be retired from the U.S. inventory. So literally scheduled to be flown from an active squadron to the desert, Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, the Boneyard, and parked for eternity, written off to zero value to the taxpayers. I said, make that a Lend-Lease package. Almost like when Roosevelt gave 50 destroyers and some aircraft and a bunch of guns to the Brits in 1940, Lend-Lease. And I said, make it a combination of Lend-Lease and a Flying Tigers, a good use of a private contracted capability. Because Ukraine needed air power. They needed a lot more air power. So I said, perfect. There was 50-some F-16s, 55 F-15s, and another 40 A-10s. Perfect. Fly those to Ukraine. Biden can make an announcement. Ukraine is not going to be a member of NATO, but they're going to have an Air Force, and here it is. And I could have put contracted pilots in those aircraft. And you know what? If you lose 20 or 30% of the aircraft, that's okay. That's what ejection seats are for. That would have been a significant deterrent force. The whole program would have cost like $400 million, which was
the one you're talking about.
No.
Okay.
No. We looked at buying Motorzich, which is a company that makes turbine engines, and some idiot made wild allegations about that.
This was 3 years ago.
That was a simple plan to buy a turbine maker, but no. Went all the way up to Sullivan and the National Security Council, and of course they never acted on it. But again, because you have people in those jobs without experience that have never deployed aircraft themselves, they've never done that, so they get told by some Air Force officer, well, that's impossible, they could never staff those aircraft. Nonsense. There are hundreds of former military aircraft flown by contractors today in America, and they're flown as opposition squadrons, training against the U.S. Air Force and U.S. Navy for their readiness. So it was a very applicable model, and it could have, I believe, 150 ex-U.S. military combat aircraft showing up in Ukraine. That's a significant deterrent, and I bet you it would have stopped the war before it even started.
So why'd you stop doing this? Why'd you stop? Why don't you still do the business? I mean, you sound like
because the left and the idiots in Washington so hate any ideas that are innovative or different that interrupt the money train, the very corrupt money train from the Uniparty.
Okay.
Lindsey Graham, just as bad as any Democrat, on spending more money to defense contractors and washing it through. And what do we have to show for it? What great military successes do we have for the last 25 years? Remember, after 9/11, what did the Pentagon want to do, right? So Bush goes to meet with his national security cabinet 5 days after 9/11. While the Pentagon is still smoldering, the most expensive military in the world at that point with like a $700 billion budget, they wanted to do bombs, missiles, and a Ranger raid in October of 2001. And they wanted to wait until the following April and do a mechanized invasion via Pakistan. That's the best the Pentagon came with. It was the CIA, Code for Black, and Counterterrorism Center. And they said, money, authorities, 3 weeks, the flies will be walking on the eyeballs of our enemies. That was innovative. They had done asymmetric unconventional warfare, and with less than 100 special operators and case officers backed by air power, smashed the Taliban. They were truly on the run. That model worked for 6 months until the big conventional Pentagon showed up, and then they screwed it up for the next 19 and a half years and basically replicated the same Soviet battle plan. If you read a book called The Bear Went Over the Mountain, that's what the Soviets did. In fact, our base locations were the same places the Soviets were, followed the same plan.
So you telling that story, what's your point of telling that story? Are you telling it to say how bad it is right now? If that's what you're doing, why did you get out of the business if you think you're fully qualified to be able to expose that and make it better? Why'd you get out of the business?
Good point.
Because the Blackwater was so attacked and the regulatory state was thrown at us. I paid about $2.5 million a month in legal fees for 2 years.
$60 million.
Yeah. Paid the highest per capita fine in State Department history from Hillary Clinton for no actual damage to national security. So of all the stuff that was thrown at us, because Blackwater was bad after Nisser Square, and the left really came for us, we fought off all the audits, Defense Contract Management Agency, and we came through that all clean. But the one place we could not fight, we couldn't litigate, was on export licenses, because if we litigated, they would stop all export licenses and it would stop the business, because you have to be able to export body armor or a helmet or a gun to do a security or a training job. And so they stuck us with the highest per capita fine, and even in their study, they acknowledged that there was no actual export of no damage to national security. So what they ended up fining us for was exporting helmets, body armor plates, etc. So if we were working for the State Department, diplomatic security, another part of the State Department does the licensing called Defense Trade Controls, and they're kind of moving at their own pace. And so we have a license into them to export stuff for our guys, which the Diplomatic Security Service is demanding. I need 50 guys in this town in Iraq, next week, go, go, go. My license is in, it hasn't come back. I'm not going to send these guys naked. Yeah, we sent the body armor, we sent the helmets, and they fined us like $500,000 per helmet. That kind of nonsense. And it was just politics. So I started the business as a way to stay connected to the community I loved and to serve my country, and to just get repeatedly kicked in the head. Yeah, I'm about done with that.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch it.
That was a pretty good interview. I'm going to go check out his full interview, the 2-hour interview. I'm not going to bring it to the channel. It's too long, but I like the interview. He sounds like he's very pro-American, and I don't think that's a wrong thing to be, or a wrong person to be. He's very pro-American from what he sounds. His speech about Africa really kind of like closed my mind to even listening to him. But listening to him now, he's not I'm not going to judge too quickly, but yeah, he's somebody who's smart and is very pro-American. And a lot of the things he said, they do make sense. Yeah, they make sense. And when with regards to the war, how to stop it, that's a very smart idea he had mentioned, because it could have been stopped before it started. And now hundreds of thousands of people have lost their lives and permanent injuries. I'm hearing in their millions now, and I'm not sure how true that is, but it's crazy. Yeah, and these are the people that I would, expect to be in positions of leadership. If they're this knowledgeable, you would like to test them. I don't know about Blackwater, how vicious it might have been that the government wanted them out, but if it wasn't so vicious, or if he's so pro-American, then they should be wanting these people to take care of the military for them. Anyways, let me know what you think about Erik Prince and that video. If there's anything you want to add, correct, or critique, feel free to do so. Smash the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.